Hello and welcome to the Story Kiosk, a community podcast sharing short, true stories written by you, our listeners. I'm your host, Julian. Assuming everything goes to plan, this will be our final episode of 2025. The last few months have been challenging but genuinely rewarding as we've launched this project into the world, and I'm looking forward to keeping it rolling through 2026 and beyond. This episode should be landing on the 23rd of December, just in time for Christmas and the New Year. The holiday season, of course, means a lot of travel for many people and their families, juggling flights and trains and late-night car trips on cold winter evenings. As it happens, the story we're sharing today from a contributor who wishes to remain anonymous is also travel-related. It's a kind of chaotic childhood memory, and we hope you manage to avoid the unfortunate fate that befell them way back when. So cast your mind back to sometime in the late 90s for this one. Today's story is titled Pride Rock. I suppose there are less convenient places to break a bone, but an airport in the middle of the night, waiting for a connecting flight with my mum when I was 5, maybe 6 years old, certainly wasn't my first choice. Oh, and my dog was in transit too, in her crate, somewhere in the terminal. So yeah, not super convenient. We moved around a lot when I was young for my dad's work. He was told where to go, and I, my mum, and my dog came along, from one side of the world to the other, over an ocean or two. Dad wasn't on this particular trip. He'd join later. We touched down in Germany, probably Frankfurt Airport, late in the evening. There was a connecting domestic flight that would take us to whichever airport was closest to my mum's family in the northwest of the country. But first we had a couple of hours to kill. A welcome rest for my mum after a series of long-haul flights from somewhere in Asia. I loved flying back then, when air travel was still exciting and not just exhausting. Everyone was less frazzled, stewards still handed out toys to young passengers, and chilled-out pilots happily printed novelty stamps in kids' passports. Or maybe that's just my rose-tinted memories of toddlerdom, before someone turned down the saturation dial on the world. Well, the airports were already colourless, homogeneous, grey on grey. From Hong Kong to Heathrow, a waiting room was a waiting room, a non-place where you had to create your own fun. Flying itself was still an adventure. Waiting to fly has always been a drag. After landing in Frankfurt, my mum took us to one of the few lounge areas / holding pens for kids. One part of the room had some tables and chairs, the other a small play area for children. Nothing fancy, no jungle gym, no ball pit, no communal video games console, nothing like that. In fact, the most interesting thing in the room was the low wall separating the seating area from the play area. It can't have been more than 3 or 4 feet tall, low enough so parents sitting at the tables could keep a weather eye on their kids without having to get up. Now, Frankfurt isn't at the best of times the most thrilling place in the world. But late at night, after a long flight, 5-year-old me thought this playpen was the height of boredom. But that low wall, well, in the circumstances, it was easily the most exciting thing around. A mountain to climb, a castle to conquer. My mum put our stuff by one of the tables, set me loose in the play area, and went to grab some coffee from the little cafe adjoining the seating area. I saw my chance. I don't even know who I was trying to impress. I don't think any other families were whiling away their time there, but having spent the day skipping across time zones, I was still somehow full of energy. Or if not that, then definitely some jet lag-induced delirium. I clambered up the wall, which I remember tapered down to the floor at one end, like a ramp. By all indications, it was meant to be climbed on. Up I went, with all the confidence of a mountain goat, my majestic climbing skills on full display for no one in particular. I summited and stepped along the wall, which can't have been much broader than an adult's hand, from thumb to little finger. The Lion King was one of my favourite movies. The top of this wall was my Pride Rock. And as ever, pride goeth before the fall. I misplaced my foot, lost my balance, slipped, and tumbled to the surprisingly firm floor. The wall was barely as tall as a kitchen counter. It takes a special kind of skill, or else just awfully bad luck, to break your arm falling from that height, but break mine I did. Whether from hitting the wall on my way down or on the hard ground itself, I can't be sure. Whatever the case, there was certainly a snap, and I made sure everyone in earshot, perhaps the entire airport, or indeed all of southern Germany, heard about it. My God, how I screamed, how I wept and wailed. My mum came running. The sleep-deprived staff at the cafe, jolted awake by my thundering cries, leapt to life. They summoned a first aid team, someone rang an ambulance, and I was bundled off to the hospital. A forearm fracture. Painful, my first bone break, but nothing serious. At that age, you're still basically made of rubber. I'd heal up just fine. But the episode did rather spoil the evening and our travel plans. There was no way we'd make our connecting flight. Calls were made to the airport to make sure our luggage and, more importantly, my dog weren't put onto the plane, and then to our family in the north of Germany. My uncle, bless him, jumped in his car and made the long, long drive south. In the intervening hours, I had a rock-solid cast put on my left forearm, with boyish blue tape around the outside. The pain subsided. They'd probably pumped me full of drugs. My uncle arrived, and he, my mum, our suitcases, my dog, and I started on the journey back up north. It was still dark during the drive, either the middle of the night or else very, very early on a winter morning. Pitch black outside, but for the occasional yellow streetlight on the autobahn, which intermittently lit up the car's interior. My uncle focusing on the road ahead of him. My mum finally able to catch up on some sleep. My little blue broken arm. And my dog, with her soft white and blonde fur, curled up in the footwell behind the driver's seat, at my feet, keeping an eye on me, making sure I was okay. If you're traveling over the holidays, I hope your journey is far less dramatic and that everyone arrives in one piece. Thank you to our anonymous contributor for writing up that story. If you have a story to share, we'd be thrilled to read it. You can find all the details on our website, www.storykioskpod.com. If you're not sure where to begin and want a small prompt to get your pen moving, why not try writing about a strong childhood memory? Not necessarily about a major injury, could be about Christmas, a travel adventure, or anything from the early years that has stayed with you. Whether your story is funny, serious, sentimental, scary, or chaotic, absolutely everyone and anyone is welcome to contribute to this project. And if you just want to chat or hang out, you can also find us on Instagram. We'll wrap up both the episode and this year's slate there. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the podcast over these first few months. Much love to you and yours, and we wish you safe travels this holiday season. We'll see you in the new year.